Episode 72, Tan Hua. The beautiful lady was none other than Rieta herself. It was so rare for a madam of a rich family to open the door to welcome a guest. But since it was Tan Hua who came, Rieta couldn't let her maidservant welcome her one and only daughter. She missed Tan Hua already when it wasn't even a few days since they last met. "Mom." Tan Hua hugged Rieta before being led to the living room by her. Of course, Rieta didn't forget Lan Yanjin. She quickly led the two of them to the living room. Tan Hua's heart beat faster as they arrived at the luxurious living room. She was prepared to meet her stepfather and stepbrother when she saw two other guests she had never seen before, sitting on the sofa. There's someone else too? Wait, those two looked like Lan Yanjin. Don't tell her. Don't tell her those two guests were Lan Yanjin's parents? Wait, what are they doing here? She thought this would only be a small family gathering between her and the new family she had never seen before. But how in the world was Lan Yanjin's family also here now? Somehow, she had a bad feeling about this. Come. Sit down. Rieta smiled warmly as she let Tan Hua sit down on a sofa right next to Lan Yanjin. The two of them awkwardly sat down while eyeing the people in the living room. Lan Yanjin glanced around and saw his future father-in-law calmly observing him and Tan Hua. He had never met the head of the large family, so it couldn't be helped that he felt nervous. On the other hand, Tan Hua was nervous about everything. She wasn't that close to her mother, and so the only person she knew quite well in the room was Lan Yanjin. She was surrounded by people she had never seen before, like Lan Yanjin's parents, her stepfather and stepbrother. Oh right, speaking of stepfather. Tan Hua sneakily raised her head to steal a glance at her stepfather's face. As expected of a prime minister, even though the man looked like he was only in his 40s, the aura surrounding him was nothing ordinary. He looked stern and wise. His light blue eyes were shining with the sign of intelligence. Those two eagle-like eyes were staring right into her eyes, sending a shiver down her spine. This man looked so imposing. The man didn't actually have a scary face like Tan Hua had imagined. On the other hand, he looked neat and handsome, like politicians in general, but somehow she had a feeling that this man was judging her. That was what made this man seem so intimidating in her eyes. Are all rich men like this toward their guests? Wait, her stepfather had every right to dislike her, right? After all, she was the daughter of his wife's former husband. Which man would like to see a child of their wife from another man? It was already a given that she was allowed to visit this house. Tan Hua took a deep breath as she lowered her head, waiting for someone to start a conversation. Right now, her mother was cheerfully talking with Lan Yanjin's mother. Of course, she could hear that Rieta was talking about her. To be more precise, she was boasting about her. So your daughter is surprisingly the owner of Louvre brand? Rieta, you're very lucky. Madame Lan glanced at Tan Hua with sparkling eyes, as if seeing rare gems being presented in front of her. So this girl here is the one his son has taken an interest in? His son has good taste. Not only was this girl cute and polite, but she was also surprisingly talented. Could you imagine a mere 22-year-old woman who came from a poor background, one day making a name for herself in the fashion industry? As a woman to own a brand was already impressive. Not to mention that her brand was widely popular. If someone didn't know about it, they would be considered outdated. This girl is really a good candidate to be her son's wife. I just found her after looking for her for so long. Rieta laughed again, a sense of pride blooming in her heart. She said that Tan Hua was her one and only daughter, not because she didn't have another daughter. But it was more because this girl was the only child she had left with the man she loved. It's not like she didn't love her current husband after marrying him for a few years. She slowly accepted him, but still. She couldn't forget her first love. It's not like her husband now didn't have someone he secretly loved, so they were even. It's a good thing that her other daughter was abroad. She didn't want her daughter to cause a ruckus when she saw Tan Hua, her stepsister. Not to mention that her other daughter was really different compared to Tan Hua. When Tan Hua had already established her brand at a young age, her 17-year-old daughter was still playing around, wasting the family's money. Right. Tan Hua, let me introduce you to my husband, your stepfather and your stepbrother, as if only now remembering something important. Rieta turned her head around to call Tan Hua. Right. Tan Hua flinched since she had been pretending to be invisible earlier, but her mother suddenly called her name, forcing her to join the conversation. She just realized how messy her mother's family situation was when she looked around the living room. There were only a few family pictures, and Lan Yanjin even told her about this family situation. She didn't want to be dragged into this family drama. She has a stepsister too, doesn't she? Please, just let her go back for now without meeting her. Tan Hua could only silently sigh, realizing the situation she was in. If her stepsister, whom she bet had feelings for Lan Yanjin, came back, would she misunderstand her and Lan Yanjin? No, she didn't have a relationship with Lan Yanjin, so it should be alright. Here we go, let's greet her stepfather and stepbrother. Nice to meet you. My name is Tan Hua. Tan Hua stood up and made a polite bow before sitting again on the sofa. Her body was trembling from nervousness, especially when her eyes met her stepfather's eyes. Nice to meet you too. I'm Willem Larage. The Prime Minister paused a bit, before nodding his head and introducing himself too. Hearing these two people's stiff conversation, Lan Yanjin's lips couldn't help but twitch. Is this really a conversation between father and daughter? He knew that Tan Hua wasn't this man's biological daughter, but still. Aren't these two too stiff with each other? Don't be so stiff now. This is your little brother, Rudo Lorage. Rieta laughed awkwardly, seeing the stiff interaction between her husband and her daughter. She quickly introduced her 5-year-old son to Tan Hua, in hopes of easing the tense atmosphere in the room. Right. Tan Hua looked at the pretty little boy in front of her and couldn't help but feel less nervous. The boy, who was sitting on Rieta's lap, indeed had a pretty face like his mother. Silky blonde hair coupled with sky-blue eyes. This little boy looked exactly like a real angel. Even when he didn't smile, anyone could still see how he was the spitting image of a little angel. Well, it was only when he didn't open his mouth. Who is this ugly woman? Rudo glared at Tan Hua, and the moment he spoke, his soft, bell-like voice rang throughout the room. His voice was soothing and cute, like an angel's voice, but a pity what he said was the complete opposite. Hem. You ugly woman? Tan Hua's face turned dark as her lips twitched, trying to control her emotion. Did her ears get it right? This pretty boy, who looked like a baby angel, just outright insulted her to her face? Rudu? Rieta's face turned bright red, hearing her son's rude remark to her own daughter. She always knew that her son took after his father in terms of personality, but she didn't expect him to insult Tan Hua in front of the Lan family. But Mom Rudo turned his head around and looked at Rieta with an innocent face, as if what he said before was totally fine. He blinked his pair of pretty blue eyes, instantly capturing Rieta's heart in an instant. Okay. His son had a sharp tongue, but she couldn't be angry with him because of this. His son would look at her with an innocent face, and then she wouldn't have the heart to scold him. Don't be rude to your big sister, Rieta sighed as she looked at Tan Hua with an apologetic face. She truly didn't mean to embarrass Tan Hua like this, but alas, it seemed her son didn't like Tan Hua. Maybe because he sensed that Tan Hua wasn't from the same father as him? It's okay, Tan Hua flashed a fake smile, not wanting to make her mother sad. But deep inside, her decision to never get involved with this family became firmer than before. Just looking at the 5-year-old boy's reaction upon meeting her, she could imagine what would happen if the other girl met her. This family, aside from Rieta, clearly didn't welcome her at all. Even though her stepfather didn't say anything rude or hostile to her, still. She could sense his burning stare at her as if signaling her to quickly go away from his house. Maybe he was assessing her, wondering how the heck a girl like her could create such a famous brand. It's all right. She wasn't the original soul anyway, so she wouldn't be sad by this kind of thing. Now she knew how these people didn't like her. Should she go home now, or? Tan Hua was trying to find an excuse so she could leave and go to the town when suddenly, Lan Yanjin, who had been silent all this time, spoke in a loud, clear voice. Aunt, actually, I came here today with my family to propose something. Lan Yanjin smiled sweetly, but for no reason, Tan Hua had goosebumps upon seeing his smile. What in the world is this man going to do? She wanted to go home now. Propose something? What is it? Let me know. Rieta already had a guess in her mind, but she pretended to not know about it. Her previously awkward face turned bright as she smiled from ear to ear. Yes, Dad, Mom, Aunt, and Uncle. I want to marry Tan Hua. Lan Yanjin took a deep breath before telling the people in the room about his purpose for coming here today, instantly sending a shock through Tan Hua's head. What? Marry? Tan Hua's jaw dropped to the floor, and her face turned white from shock the moment she heard what Lan Yanjin said. Is this man crazy or what? Marry? They weren't even in a relationship. Son, I didn't know you already have someone you like, Lan Yanjin's father chuckled as he looked at Tan Hua with gentle eyes. And his son definitely had good taste. The stepdaughter of a prime minister, the owner of a worldwide popular brand. This girl would be a perfect daughter-in-law. Tan Hua, Perfect your ass. Yanjin, Auntie didn't know you had feelings for Tanhua. Rieta grinned from ear to ear as she giggled happily. She had guessed that Lan Yanjin had feelings for her daughter, but she didn't expect the man to suddenly ask for marriage. Yan, why didn't you tell Mom you have someone you like? What about the girlfriend you introduced to us? Lan Yanjin's mother shook her head, even though she silently felt happy that her son was finally interested in a girl. She wanted to have grandchildren soon. Wait. I seeing the people around her already start talking, as if she and Lan Yanjin had mutual feelings. Tanhua began to panic. She didn't have feelings for Lan Yanjin, so she couldn't accept this. Anyway, how the heck did Lan Yanjin suddenly say he was interested in her? She just found this out now. This man never told her anything, after all. I don't want to force Tanhua, so what about getting engaged first? Let her choose. She must be confused and shocked now. Lan Yanjin calmed down his parents and Tanhua's mother, who was excitedly talking further when Tanhua hadn't even agreed. He didn't mean to force Tanhua, but with this engagement as a choice given to her, at least he could make her aware of his feelings. He hadn't confessed yet, but he would later. It's best to tie her up first. Right. What do you think, Tanhua? Lan Yanjin is a promising man. Rieta waved her hand and stopped talking with Lan Yanjin's parents about the future marriage. They had been too excited about their children's marriage that they forgot to ask Tanhua for her answer. After all, having their children get married was a good thing. They were old best friends, so of course, they would want to be in-laws with each other. It would be fun if their children got married. Even Wilhelm Larage, Tanhua's stepfather, who hadn't spoken at all before, also had the same thought as Rieta. Lan Yanjin's family was a huge, influential family. If his stepdaughter could marry the successor of that family, it would strengthen his position in the political world. Well, he chose his biological daughter to be married to the Lan family. But alas, if this young man here chose his stepdaughter instead, what could he do? It's not a bad deal as long as he could gain benefit from the Lan family. My answer? Mom, Tanhua glanced at Lan Yanjin with a troubled look, as if looking for help. This whole engagement thing was moving too fast. She didn't even have feelings for Lan Yanjin. How could she say yes? I know you still don't have feelings for me, but I'm sure sooner or later I'll make you forget that person and make you fall for me. Lan Yanjin moved his face closer and whispered in a small voice that only he and Tanhua could hear. Tanhua's heart shook when Lan Yanjin said he would make her forget that person and fall for him instead. Isn't this a direct confession? Oi, don't tempt her. We can talk about this engagement thing later. Tanhua is tired today, so I'll wait for her. Aunt, uncle, excuse us. We have a plan to sightsee the town. Seeing Tanhua was stunned. Lan Yanjin smirked before standing up and bowing to Tanhua's parents politely. He knew that Tanhua was eager to leave this house, so he might as well help her with an excuse, accompanying her to sightsee the town. You two have a date? We are so insensible not to notice it. Go, don't worry about us, Rieta gasped in surprise, but quickly giggled happily later. Looking at how Lan Yanjin was impatient to take Tanhua away, she could expect a good result from these two. Yes, son, go enjoy your date. Tanhua, please take care of my son, okay? Even Lan Yanjin's mom also cheered for the two of them. She took Tanhua's hand and shook it, before urging her to go. She too thought that Tanhua and Lan Yanjin already had a date plan. What? Date? No, Tanhua's head went dizzy when all the people in the room assumed things as they liked. They thought that she was going to have a date with Lan Yanjin? When did the two of them plan to have a date? It's all Lan Yanjin's bluff. Just say yes, or you won't be able to leave for a long time, Lan Yanjin whispered again, as he suddenly grabbed Tanhua's wrist to show the others how they were actually close. Fine. Tanhua wanted to shove away Lan Yanjin's hand but decided to play along. She indeed wanted to escape from this family meeting, which she judged to be toxic, so Lan Yanjin's excuse could work well. Mom, and everyone else, thank you for the treat. I'll be going. Tanhua flashed a sweet smile as she hugged Rieta before bowing to the other people in the room, showing how obedient she was. Fine, let's just act. Seeing how sweet Tanhua was, her value in Lan Yanjin's parents' eyes raised a lot. They really liked an obedient and sweet girl like Tanhua. Yes, you two can go now. Enjoy your date. Rieta waved her hand happily as she escorted Tanhua and Lan Yanjin out of her house. She still looked at Tanhua with a gentle, kind eye, even after the girl disappeared from her house gate. Tanhua had already entered Lan Yanjin's car, but Rieta still stood in front of her house door, waiting for the girl to depart before coming back inside. Furietta let out a big sigh right after she closed the door. She was actually nervous that this family meeting wouldn't go well since she knew her husband wouldn't like Tan Hua. But with Lan Yanjin's proposal, everything went smoothly. She felt happy for Tan Hua as well. Still, the decision was in her hands. She would be happy as long as Tan Hua was happy, no matter what kind of man she chose to be her future husband. Where are we going now? Tan Hua looked outside the window and saw that they were heading to a place she had never been to before. Her curiosity was piqued, and she slowly lowered her guard. It wasn't so bad strolling the city with Lan Yanjin as long as he didn't do anything unexpected. Do you know Hampton Court Maze? Have you visited that place? Lan Yanjin began to recall good places he knew. He picked out one that Tan Hua might like. Hampton Court Maze? No, I don't know that place. Is it a hidden gem? Tan Hua's eyes shone with excitement when Lan Yanjin mentioned something she had never heard of before. Hampton Court Maze. Is it a real maze? She never knew something like this existed in London. Now she was curious. Okay, let's go there then. I bet you will have fun. It's not really a hidden gem, but most tourists don't know about this place. You will like it. Lan Yanjin looked at his wristwatch and noticed it was already past lunchtime. It was 1 p.m. already, and they hadn't had lunch. Should they eat first, or? Lan Yanjin glanced at Tan Hua's face, and, upon seeing how excited she was, decided to go to the maze first, before having their late lunch. We will go to this maze, but after this, we have to eat, okay? Don't make me take you to other places before we eat. Lan Yanjin didn't look at Tan Hua anymore as he focused on driving. The maze wasn't that far from Tan Hua's mother's house, so they should make it in time before tea time. Well, even if they missed it, for him, it was okay as long as Tan Hua was happy. All right. Tan Hua nodded her head happily as she waited patiently for them to arrive at this maze Lan Yanjin mentioned. She couldn't wait to explore it. Heathrow Airport. Finally. That's a long flight. Nan Shen stretched his body as he took his suitcase that Ren Yuan had gotten for him. The flight was around 8-10 hours, and for him it was so long. He almost died from boredom. Yeah, that's a long flight. So, now where should we go? Ren Yuan agreed with Nan Shen's remark as he casually took Mishu's hand, before asking Nan Shen, the tour guide, for their next destination. Mishu also nodded after hearing Ren Yuan's words, but her body fidgeted a bit. She wasn't comfortable having her hand held by Ren Yuan. She knew this was Mishu's body in this world, but still. The one she liked was Nan Shen. Having Ren Yuan, the male lead, hold her hand. Well, she was the female lead, so it was bound to happen, but… Wait. I'll search it first. Nan Shen awkwardly smiled before opening his phone. He didn't have any plans for this country, since he only wanted to follow Tan Hua. He had to get rid of these two first. What about Little Venice? It's a beautiful river and a perfect dating spot for you two lovebirds. Nan Shen searched the internet and found a good dating spot to get rid of these two. He only brought these two as an excuse to go on a trip, but in fact, once he was here, he would make these two busy with themselves so they would forget about him, and he could finally find Tan Hua without anyone knowing. Do you want to go there, Mishu? Ren Yuan was very interested in the place Nan Shen suggested. Girls like to row on a boat while seeing beautiful scenery, right? It had been a while since he last spent time alone with Mishu. Well, I want to. But what about Nan Shen? Mishu smiled sweetly. But in her heart, she cursed Ren Yuan for agreeing with this plan. She didn't want to be alone with Ren Yuan. She wanted Nan Shen. I will be fine. Nan Shen had an inkling feeling that Mishu was acting strangely today. She always asked him about everything. But before, she would just leave him for Ren Yuan. What's wrong with Mishu? But Mishu looked anxious as she tried to make Nan Shen come with her and Ren Yuan. She didn't know what Nan Shen would do while they were on their date. Would he be alone, or… Wait. In this body's memories, she saw that Nan Shen had a girlfriend before, the owner of the popular brand in this world, which adopted a really similar design to the fashion in her world. What's that girl's name? Tan Hua? Right. She is also this body's best friend. Wait. If this Tan Hua made a brand with a fashion similar to the fashion in her world. Don't tell her that Tan Hua is also a transmigrator like her? Not to mention that before Nan Shen lost his memories, he seemed to fall in love with this girl. No. She couldn't stay like this while Nan Shen still hadn't recovered his memories. She had to make the plot return to its original track. Nan Shen is supposed to love Mishu, not a nameless person like that girl. Mishu? Are you all right? Ren Yuan furrowed his eyebrows in worry, seeing Mai Shu suddenly go silent after wanting to stop Nan Shen from leaving alone. Is it just him, or did Mai Shu seem strange right after she had that immense headache on the plane? She often dazed off, and he could feel that the girl was slowly distancing herself from him. I'm fine, really. Misha snapped from her thoughts as she glanced at Nan Shen from the corner of her eyes. She couldn't act differently from how Mi Shu usually acted, otherwise someone might recognize that she wasn't the real Mi Shu. So you agreed to go with Ren Yuan, right? Nan Shen raised one of his eyebrows when he saw Mai Shu had snapped out of her daze. This girl, how come he suddenly felt uncomfortable around her? Is this really Miss Shu? Why didn't he feel so wait? It's impossible for someone to change overnight. He must be tired, that's it. All right. Sorry, Nan Shen, that we have to leave you alone. Mai Shu had decided to just bear with the current situation. If she refused to go with Ren Yuan, both Ren Yuan and Nan Shen would be suspicious of her. Let's just bear it this time, but later at night, she would make sure to chase after Nan Shen. Nan Shen had to love her and not other random girls. Good. Let's separate here. Nan Shen quickly left Ren Yuan and Mi Shu as he took out his phone. Now he had already gotten rid of that lovebird, he should ask Tan Hua where she was. Tan Hua was enjoying the view while they headed to the famous maze to play, when suddenly a notification sound rang from her phone. Ting! Someone messaged me? Tan Hua thought silently as she took out her phone from her bag to check who sent her a message, since she rarely got one. Tan Hua looked at the name of the sender and couldn't help but gasp in surprise. Her eyes widened, seeing that the one who sent her a message was none other than Nan Shen. Where are you? Tan Hua tilted her head, wondering about Nan Shen's question. Why did he need to ask her where she was? She already told him before that she would go to England, right? London, England. Boss, I think I told you before. Tan Hua didn't call Nan Shen by his name anymore. Lately, she called him boss since the man was the one who asked her to call him that. He didn't remember how, before he lost his memories. He wouldn't like it if she called him boss. I mean, where are you going to go now? I'm curious, if you can, share a picture. Nan Shen silently looked at his phone as he got into the car his subordinate had prepared for him. The driver was already there and only waiting for him to say their destination. Hampton Court Maze? Why? Tan Hua couldn't help but wonder why Nan Shen asked her. Could it be that the man was here in London? No, that would be impossible. If she remembered correctly, he didn't have a schedule in London this week. Well, maybe he got urgent business or something. Who knows? Got it. Nan Shen subconsciously smiled when he got the next place Tan Hua was going to. From the airport to the maze, it was quite far. But he was sure he could get there just a bit later than Tan Hua. The one who suggested going to this maze must have been Lan Yanjin, so they must be going together. He already had a plan in his mind. He would stage it so he could meet Tan Hua inside the maze. Wait, why the heck does he sound like a stalker now?